The ships hung in the sky, much in the same way that bricks don't. Quoted from Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The chips crunched in the mouth, much in the same way that yogurt doesn't. And yet her homemade pudding crunched on my molars, much in the same way gravel might. She tried to poison her spouse, much in the same way soulmates don't. And they first made love, much in the same way people with extra limbs and little coordination might. Marionettes marionetted by other marionettes. An infinite line of strings and janky elbows elbowing their way into somehow always being in the way. And thus their offspring acknowledged their lineage, much in the same way royalty would never not acknowledge. The car stopped in the road, much in the same way boats don't. And so they avoided the accumulating snow, much in the same way the city's plow trucks do. His meaning in life was clear, much in the same way a stained glass window filters light at 6 o'clock on a Northeast Ohio January evening. The brain functioned, much in the same way seamless garments don't. The eyebrows furrowed, much in the same way cliches are unique. And so a new commandment was born. The only acceptable furrow to date is, he furrowed his brow until he could grow some of the smaller root vegetables in it. Yes, of course, it's proper that in today's culture to compare any person to any vegetable ought to be cause for cancellation, but on the subject of vegetables, don't ask me to consume them again until their resume is as diversified as the potatoes. Get out of here with your cauliflower pretending to be bread and pasta, much in the same way aluminum foil decides it's delicious. Furthermore, the Cleveland Browns footballed, much in the same way champions don't. Ditto for the baseball club. And basketball team saved one miracle, and the city, for that matter, developed the lakefront, much in the same way Chicago or any prosperous and gleaming waterfront town didn't. I balanced our checkbook, much in the manner teeter-totters don't, because finances make sense to me much in the same way as astrophysics subgenre helioseismology does. The pillow soothed his face, much in the same way her hair doesn't, the stray strand tickling his cheek just under his eye, and so he slept much in the same way over-caffeinated overthinkers do. And couples in movies make out in the morning before brushing their teeth, much in the same way no real couple with a proper sense of smell, taste, and gag reflex ever could. And so, when she propped herself on her elbow and asked him, "What do you think?" he responded by saying, "I think a 100-pound dog is a pretty big dog." And from that point forward, whenever he asked her, "What are you doing with that?" she responded with, "I'm training it to like whatever I'm doing with it." And that way, they began to communicate with each other, not with love or words of love or all the little details and actions of love, but love began to rise out of silence and reflexiveness. Just as if with a mind of their own, so too do rise their middle fingers as they pass each other in the hallway. His middle-aged reflexes responded to the doctor's hammer, much in the same way a 50-pound bag of powdered cement sits out in the rain beside the wheelbarrow and white chickens. Cement is an ingredient in concrete, much in the same way cake layers are ingredients in cake. He mowed his lawn much in the same way his neighbor doesn't, which is to say, he mowed his lawn, picked his dandelions, and showed consternation, much in the same way a seasoned art critic, when asked by a stranger on a plane, "Oh, can I show you my portfolio because it contains a point of view much in the same way no artist ever has?" And so he undermined, much in the same way actual miners in an actual mine under an actual lake mine. The salt was salty, much in the same way salt tends to be. And he thusly therapied, much in the way his ancestors didn't. He drank, much in the same way his parents didn't, which is to say he forsook what he'd been taught, much in the same way cults don't. And he caught in the rye, much in the way Holden couldn't, just as the plane landed on the runway, much in the way models don't. We then parked on the driveway, much in the way parkways don't, and went on to Great in the Gatsby, much in the same way the working class can't. I'm living in a fantasy, much in the way religion doesn't cause war. But we nonetheless arose among the roses, much in the way roses rise. And Paris shone much in the way Akron can't ever. And so we Gertruded on the Seine, much in the same way the steins emptied. No, wait, strike that. The river emptied into the beer stein, much in the same way Gertrude exuded exactitude exactly as exactly attitude exactly Gertrude. For after all, we couldn't stop in the same way should became shouldn't, would wouldn't, could couldn't, did didn't, want wanted, meaning meant, and the elusive illuminated, and a woodchuck could chuck wood. In this manner, forever and beyond, the end of the universe and through all things indefinitely and infinitely, thought should be discouraged, because panic begets the fact that panic sometimes cannot be unpanicked simply by saying, don't.